Hello, everyone. Welcome to my regular 5 o'clock stream, not to be confused with the spy stream that I did earlier today, which is not a regular 5 o'clock stream. Spy stream is a special stream that we do when we have the opportunity. Today, we spy streamed a 4-some-hour workshop that Boston University was doing about how they are becoming an anti-racist institution. If you want to go back and watch that, you can. I think we learned a lot of interesting things, such as many universities are systematizing their own anti-racism. See, they accuse everyone else of systemic racism, but then they actually systematize policies that just perpetuate anti-racism in their institution. And we know anti-racism is an Orwellian word that actually means more racism, not less. But I'm not going to spend any time on that in this broadcast because that's not what you're here for. You want to hear, I think, how I got my Twitter account restored, how I got out of a permanent Twitter ban. And I'll tell you what, man, it took some doing. It really did. I was down, I think. Well, that's not true. I still had a couple more cards I could play, and I was absolutely willing to play those cards to get my account back because the reality is I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do anything that was against Twitter's terms of service. I knew I didn't do anything that was against Twitter's terms of service. And it just took, well, a little bit of doing, a little bit of finagling in order to get Twitter to admit that I didn't do anything to violate their terms of service. And in this stream, I'm going to lay down absolutely every step of the process for you because I know that some of you have permanent Twitter bans. Some of those bans you could be argued are more fair than others. I don't really think that I have mixed feelings about banning people. I think that Twitter should be taking tweets down that don't violate their content. I don't think they should be permanently banning people except for the most egregious of incidences or things that are like actually against the law. They certainly shouldn't be banning them for sharing government email addresses, which is actually what I got banned for. So I'm going to lay down exactly what I did. I'm going to walk you guys through the whole process. I'm going to show you receipts. I'm going to show you, well, to a certain extent. So I can't show you like receipts of all the appeals I sent Twitter, but I can show you like it got to the point where I was copying and pasting text. So I have the text I used for the appeal, and I can walk you through what I said and why I said it. Now, it really did take some doing. It really did, and I have a whole bunch of steps that I wanna just touch on right at the top. And let me just show you this. I made a helpful cheat sheet for should you find yourself on the receiving end of a permanent Twitter ban. What do you do? Now, I was actually, well, I always thought my account was going to get permanently banned on Twitter. To be honest, I kind of think that everyone's account is going to be permanently banned on Twitter unless Elon Musk manages to pull off the deal of the century, which is essentially to take Twitter to court to get to expose them for lying in their sale contracts, and then he's going to end up getting Twitter for free if he does that. Unless Elon Musk pulls that off, I genuinely do think that most of us are going to get banned on Twitter. So it kind of like when it happened, it was surprising, but it wasn't surprising at the same time because I'd always thought for the last couple of years, I was like, they're gonna get me at some point. Might as well just have fun. Well, we're working our way through it. But at the same time, I was rather annoyed because I really didn't break Twitter's terms of service, and that's gonna go to rule number one. If you want to get out of a permanent Twitter ban, this is especially true if you want to get out of it once it happens to you. You can't break Twitter's terms of service, man. On some of my tweets, on occasions, I have skirted lines where I don't think I have ever really broken Twitter's terms of service. Twitter might argue otherwise. They'd be wrong, but like I've really skirted the line between when like in terms of like really walking up to it very closely, but not ever going across it so far as I consider the terms of service and how I interpret them. And that's got to be rule number one. Don't just fuck around and break Twitter's rules. Now sometimes Twitter is going to make up new rules in the middle of the ball game, like when they banned the use of the term groomer without telling anyone, and then they were like retroactively banning tweets. And that actually did happen to me, by the way. Twitter did actually retroactively ban tweets that I had sent after they banned the term groomer. But here's the thing: it's like once you know that they're banning people for the word groomer, stop using the word groomer. Honestly, because here's the thing, guys. Twitter sucks. They're an authoritarian entity. They are absolutely communist in their tactics. They are trying to take out every single person who disagrees with them. Don't make it easy for them. I have a platform right now where I have 71,000 followers on Twitter. Now, as much as I hate Twitter, and people, especially in my locals community, know how much I hate Twitter, like I still use it anyway because I frankly have the ability to reach a lot of people. This is why I look at someone like a Jordan Peterson who has millions of followers, could help millions of people by being on that platform. His refusal just to delete a tweet to me is just like obstinate and unnecessary. I think it's really self-centered, whereas I view this as like I'm in this game and this might sound cheesy, but like I really am trying to serve people. I'm trying to help people. I'm trying to support them. I'm trying to empower them. Twitter, sadly, is a platform in which I have a lot of followers. And so for me, I've always seen it as like a necessary evil. Like I'm going to use the platform for as long as I can use the platform. But if it gets taken away from me, I'm not going to freak out. And if I end up getting a permanent Twitter ban, I want to damn well make sure that I have not broken any of their rules, because if I have broken some of their rules, there's nothing I can really do about it at that point. Fortunately, I was in a position, and I'm going to prove this because some people have lied about this. I was in a position where I knew I didn't break any of their rules. And so I was actually in a really advantageous position. So if Twitter had, just to really cut to the chase, if Twitter had not reinstated in my account after every single thing that I had sent them, and we'll walk through all of it in this stream, I was going to sue Twitter for breach of contract. I was not going to sue Twitter for First Amendment violations, for like Section 230, for things that was like Section 230 would apply for, because Twitter can ban really whoever they want. If I was going to sue Twitter and I was really one step away from that, I was going to sue Twitter for contract violations, for breach of contract, because they were the ones breaking their terms of service, not me. I was also going to sue them for defamation. And we're going to talk more about that in a second. I quite frankly could still sue Twitter for defamation. It might be worth pursuing. I haven't decided yet. But if they had not given me my account back, my very next step was I was going to sue them for breach of contract for not giving me the account back, when I made it really clear that they were the ones violating their terms of service. I was not. And the only reason I was in an advantageous position to be able to do that was because I didn't break any of their rules in the first place. So I know Twitter rules suck. I know it's unfair. I know they're authoritarian douchebags. However, you're on their platform, and if you want to make the case that you deserve to be on their platform, you got to follow their rules as closely as possible. Otherwise, they have the level up, and you don't want that. Secondly, I was extremely calm when my account got banned. Like I said, I kind of always thought I was going to get banned on Twitter anyway at some point. And so I was just kind of like, meh, like, whatever. I didn't freak out. I didn't throw a hissy fit. I didn't do any of those things. I just kind of continued on with business as usual. Now, what I did have to do, I did have to get a VPN. Now, I already had a VPN, but the thing is, when Twitter banned my personal account, they also locked down all of my other accounts. So let me show you, and we'll go back to that list in a second. So I have other accounts on Twitter, just FYI, like just in case anyone is confused. I do have other accounts on Twitter. The most important account to me right now is actually my Actively Unwoke account. It is at Actively Unwoke. Please follow it if you're not following it already, because this is the account that I defaulted to when I got banned on Twitter. Now, I also have this other account. It's a much less followed account, but it's a place where I talk about spirituality. It's the Disenrage account. I have that account. I have some other accounts too. When Twitter permanently banned my account, they locked down all of my other accounts. And then what I had to do is I had to go through to get them unlocked. I had to, first of all, I had to use a VPN, because Twitter's doing it based on IP address. Okay. So I had to get a VPN set up. I had to be really diligent about using a VPN. When I was using Twitter on my phone, I was logging in through a private window. So, like, Twitter weren't tracking nothing. And what I had to do is I actually had to have phone numbers for each and every account. And those phone numbers have to be different because Twitter is attached to one phone number that I have. I have like 86,000 Twitter accounts. Maybe not that many, but I do have quite a few. And so, what I had to do when they banned my personal account is I had to set up Google Voice numbers for every single one of my other accounts. Now, Google Voice is free. This is not hard. It's just a pain in the ass. So, Google Voice is free. You get it free with a Google account. And basically, Google Voice allows you to pick out a phone number that then redirects to whatever phone number you want it to. And so I basically have a whole bunch of Google Voice numbers across a whole bunch of Google accounts where when Twitter says verify your phone number or we're not going to unlock your account, I give them the Google Voice number. Twitter sends a text to that number. That text gets forwarded right to me, or it actually goes on to like the Google Voice page. I really only have to use the Google Voice number once. I get the text message, I verify the account, done and done, and the account is active and it is still going. Speaking of which, not that. Speaking of which, not only do I have other accounts on Twitter, I also have other accounts on a variety of platforms to include Locals, Minds, Gab, Gitter, Truth Social, Parler, CloudHub, Instagram. Please make sure you are following me on at least one alternate platform. Okay? Because this is the thing, and I've been asking people, and I'm so grateful that I did this. I'm so grateful that I really spent the last 2 years thinking I was always going to get banned on Twitter anyway. And so I've really been hammering for people to follow me on other platforms. Please do this. Now, one of the things that I learned in my permanent Twitter ban, and I had already kind of been moving on to these platforms anyway, Gab, once you actually get all of the neo-Nazis blocked on Gab, Gab is actually not Gab is okay. I have not been hating Gab as much as I once did because I've now got all the neo-Nazis blocked on Gab. Minds is a good platform. I had underestimated Minds. I'm now actually enjoying Minds a lot more than I did. So if you're going to follow me on a different platform, I strongly suggest it's one of those two. Or, of course, Locals, getting a free account in my Locals community, kb.locals.com. That will always give me the ability to get in touch with you in case I get banned on Twitter or any other platform. I am on Gitter. I know there's an extra E in there. I know it's a typo. I just didn't bother to fix it. I am on Gitter. I'm on Truth Social. I'm to a lesser extent on Parler and CloudHub. I do use Instagram quite a bit. So just like moral of the story, guys, if you have content creators that you like that you're primarily following on Twitter, like make sure you're following them other places. Cause I can't tell you how many people like I heard from that were like, where did you go? What happened? Well, guess what? Had you even just been following my actively Unwoke account on Twitter, you would have known what happened and we never would have missed each other and it would have been great. So just make sure you're doing that. But I did have these other accounts that I did have to get opened again. And I also started this account. Now, this was an account I was always going to start anyway. I think I started it like the day after I got banned on Twitter. And this was actually really funny because this account is Schools Exposed X. I'm going to be posting really specific content here that's just videos from schools that we're collecting on the internet. And this will hopefully be a tool of the Unwoke Army as well. And it's actually funny because and I wasn't using my VPN at this point. So this was the point where I knew I had to actually take the VPN shit seriously and actually do it. So I opened this account and within 2 minutes of me opening the account, Twitter locked it. I was like, what the fuck is this? And then I tried tweeting from it and Twitter, like, really, they locked it down again. And so what I actually learned is, okay, you know what? Gabrielle Clark actually explained this to me. Look at this. You know why they locked it down? Because the handle says school, sex, posed. X. School sex posed X. I didn't even think of that when I made the account, but it's pretty funny. But I think that Twitter was locking it down partially because of the handle, partially because of the IP address in which I made it. But just like for when Twitter locked this account, all I had to do was again create a Google Voice number, which you only have to use once to get the text message from Twitter in order to get the account activated and unlocked. And so I had to wait like after my first tweet, Twitter locked the account down for 12 hours with giving no reason for it. And so I had to wait for 12 hours and then it was fine after that. All right. So let's see. Let's go back to our list. And I'm going to actually show you guys receipts of all of this stuff, but I wanted to just do an overview first. So we're going to stay calm. We're going to use a VPN. Okay. Actually, let's do the rest of those later. What I want to do next is I want to show you what I actually got banned for. Okay. So now some nefarious actors named Mike Harlow on Twitter have asserted that I got banned for hate speech and violence and harassment. That is not true. That is not true in any way. Some other people have asserted that I didn't get permanently banned, but I got banned in the way that that I just had to delete a tweet and they would unlock my account. That's not true either. I was permanently banned on Twitter, and I'm going to prove that to you. But this is a piece that I wrote for my Substack, carlyn.substack.com, KARLYN.substack.com. I write lots of articles on there in which I showed you the receipts up front about why I got banned. So the reason that I got banned was for sending this tweet. And you can see this tweet is now unlocked. This tweet is now available. Today, I filed a complaint with the New Hampshire Department of Education and the Human Rights Commission regarding the Exeter School District violating the Educator Code of Conduct by teaching divisive concepts under state law. The Department of Education has to investigate. Now, the reason that my account got banned was because I left the email addresses visible. But this is the tweet I got banned for because I left state government email addresses visible. And so we can show you here. This is the email, and I've got this email in another place as well. This is the email that Twitter sent me when they banned my account. Your account, Dr. Carlyn B, has been suspended for violating Twitter rules, specifically for violating our rules against posting private information. You may not post or publish other people's private information without their express authorization and permission. Keep that part in mind. You may not publish or post other people's private information without their express authorization and permission. That's going to be important later. And then it shows which tweet it was, which you can see it's the tweet I just showed you. Today, I filed a complaint with the New Hampshire Department of Education and the Human Rights Commission. It's the same tweet I just showed you. And then it says at the bottom, and this is how you know it was a permanent suspension and not a temporary one, as some people are arguing on Twitter right now. Note, if you attempt to evade a permanent suspension by creating new accounts, we will suspend your new accounts. If you wish to appeal the suspension, please contact our support team. So that is Twitter literally saying, we banned you for this, not that, this tweet. And if you try to create any new accounts, we're going to ban them too. I was permanently suspended on Twitter. Now, let me go over and show you guys. I've got a scenario, not a scenario, but I've got a series of screenshots I want to show you. And what I want to do is walk you through exactly what I did at every single step. So what you're looking at here is again, it's that email that I got the permanent Twitter ban for, or the one that's saying, it says your Twitter account has been suspended August 19th, 2022. I can make that a little bit bigger. So you can see it was banned 1 month ago. And again, you can see that this was a permanent suspension. So the very first thing I did when I got this email was, again, I remained calm. I was kind of like, meh, whatever. I didn't take it seriously though. And this is something that's going to become really important. When I first got banned on Twitter, my kind of general attitude was, well, it was probably going to happen eventually anyway. And all I did was tweet state email addresses, which are public information. So this should kind of be like a no-brainer that this is going to get overturned. I really thought this was going to be over in like a couple of days. I really thought that if I just said to Twitter, these are state email addresses, they are public information. All email addresses that end in .gov are not private information. They are public information. Unlock my account. I really thought it would be over because I thought that this was like basically a ban that was done by AI. And the reason I thought it was a ban that was done by AI is it happened within 2 minutes of me tweeting that tweet. I tweeted the thread that I wrote that I just showed you guys. That was a whole Twitter thread about the Exeter schools. And within 2 minutes of me tweeting it, I was permanently banned on Twitter. And it was even to the point where I had DM'd Keith Ammon, who's one of the state reps in New Hampshire, to try to get him to share the thread. And he shared it, he retweeted it, and then he DM'd me and he said, Carlin, are you, or no, he didn't DM me, he texted me and he said, Carlin, are you permanently banned on Twitter? I was like, what the fuck? And I saw it happen in like real time, and it happened in 2 minutes. So I thought that this was like an AI Twitter ban. I thought that once a human reviewed it, reason would prevail and they would unlock the account. That didn't happen. But the other thing about it is Twitter dragged their feet for a good long time before they even reviewed this appeal. It was like 10 days before they even reviewed my initial appeal to their banning me. And in the meantime, Twitter had made a change on their website where I was allowed to submit the first appeal. I couldn't submit any other appeal. And that's going to become important. Hang on to that. And James Lindsay said the same thing, because James Lindsay, and he posted about this on like Truth Social or something. James Lindsay basically said that he tried to submit another Twitter appeal just to annoy them, and Twitter wouldn't even let him do it. Well, the same thing was true with me. It was like when you went to submit an appeal, Twitter said you couldn't submit an appeal to being suspended because you were suspended. And that lasted for about a week and a half. And so I think that something happened where they had like a backlog of stuff that they needed to get through, and they just weren't accepting any other appeals. So it took 10 days between the time I submitted this appeal and when I actually got an answer for it. So you can see here, and again, this is proof that for anyone saying that I got banned for harassment or something else, or for anyone saying that my account was not permanently suspended. Hang on, I just want to make it bigger for you guys so you can see. So on September 10th, so my account got banned. Actually, I guess it would have been more than that. Almost like, yeah, that would have actually been more than that, like 2 weeks or something. So I didn't hear back on my Twitter appeal until September fucking 10th. So it was more than 2 weeks. And in the meantime, what I had done is I had actually reached out to the Better Business Bureau. We're going to talk about the Better Business Bureau in a second. But you can see September 10th, your account has been suspended and will not be restored because it was found to be violating Twitter's terms of service, specifically the Twitter rules against posting another person's private information, violations of this policy, blah, 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 blah. We're going to see this email a couple of times, okay? Now, when you get your first rejection, stay calm. There's no reason to freak out. You can't do anything about it anyway. The best thing you can do is fight it pragmatically. So I tried to respond to this email, and you can see here, this was my response to that email on September 10th. As I previously proved, okay, it was a typo. As I previously proved, I did none of these things. What Twitter cited for my suspension was this tweet, and I had a copy of the tweet. I did not post any private information. This tweet does not contain private information. All of the information I posted was publicly available and were state email addresses. I have provided evidence that this is public information. I did not threaten to hack Twitter or other platforms. I did not post intimate pictures or photos. You can see here, oh geez. There was also another, when Twitter rejected this appeal, they also messaged me about a different appeal that I had, or a different report that I had sent them. And when they messaged me about that different report, I was confused because I thought they were messaging me about the Twitter appeal. They basically sent me an email saying, if you have additional information to share with us, you can respond to this email. I didn't realize it was about a different report that I had sent them like weeks ago or something. And so again, this is on September 10th. You can see the date. Mike claimed I doxed the queen. That he lied. He did lie. He flatly lied. He flatly lied. Yes, Mike Harlow is a liar. I know everyone is shocked by this revelation. So I responded to that email and I basically said, here's the tweet that you told me I got suspended for. I did not post private information. I have provided proof that all these emails were publicly available, which I did. All of the information I posted was publicly available and were state email addresses. They are .gov email addresses, which is not private information. They are publicly available. And then I linked to the state website where all of the email addresses I posted were publicly fucking available. But that wasn't good enough. I also attached a screenshot, and the screenshot that I attached, I even attached a screenshot of the website that shows that these state email addresses that I posted are publicly available. This is going to become important. Wait for that. I didn't do any of these things since none of the reasons for my permanent suspension hold up. Since I did not post private information, I did not threaten to hack Twitter or other platforms. I did not post intimate photos or videos. I respectfully request that my account be restored. Okay? So at this point, I have provided Twitter with evidence that every single email address I posted were publicly available email addresses. And quite frankly, the fact that they all have .gov at the end of them should have been enough. It should have been enough. But no, it wasn't. Well, yes, this is proof that Mike Harlow is just a fame whore, isn't it? And the Queen, she really... Queen, His Majesty, you really shouldn't have put your phone number and address on fucking Google as a business. That's where that came from. It came from Google. Your beef is with Google, not with me. And yes, we all know the haters are watching. They're so pissed that they didn't get me permanently banned. We all know it. Anyway, so I had now given all this information to Twitter to prove that I did not violate their policy, and yet still, on September 13th, now Twitter has sped up the timing of their replies at this point. On September 13th, your account has been suspended and will not be restored because it was found to be violating Twitter's terms of service, specifically the Twitter rules against posting other people's private information, blah, 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 blah. Now, Twitter links you to their privacy policy. So this is when I started taking this more seriously because I was like, well, Twitter is obviously not going to listen to reason. They are not going to be logical to know that any email address that ends in .gov is a public email address. So what I did next, and I think is really important if you find yourself in a permanent Twitter ban, is you have to do something you might not be inclined to do. And you have to actually read Twitter's effing terms of service. Okay? So this is the link that Twitter kept sending me. They said, here are the rules you broke. And so I actually had to go through and read this. And I had to be like, you have to like weaponize this shit against them. And you basically have, and Twitter will tell you, like, even look at this policy. Okay. You may not, there were a couple things that were important in this policy that I used against them. The first was this sentence here. Where's my highlighter? There we go. You may not publish or post other people's private information without their express authorization and permission. Hang on to that one. We're going to come back to that one because that wasn't the first one I used. What I did do was, Twitter has a section. Excuse me, guys. What is not a violation of this policy? Sharing information that is publicly available elsewhere in a non-abusive manner. Okay, so now I had an out with Twitter. Now I knew because all of this information was available elsewhere that, okay, here's my out, Twitter. I can prove that every single email address I shared is publicly available elsewhere. So I went back and I filed another appeal. Because you can file as many appeals as you want, guys. You don't need to file just one. This is not like a one and done game. As soon as Twitter rejects your appeal, you can file another one. And fun fact, and we're going to get to this in a second, you can even file another appeal when your original appeal is still pending. And it's actually a really helpful thing to do. And we're going to talk about that in a second. So I filed another appeal. Now, this was the text that I wrote in that appeal. But this isn't a screenshot of me actually filing the appeal. This is just what exactly I wrote. So let me read it to you. I said, according to Twitter's terms of service, and then I linked them to the website that we were just looking at, The policy against posting private information is not violated if the tweet is sharing information that is publicly available elsewhere in a non-abusive manner. Now, in this email, you're going to see I started to get uber nitpicky about everything. I started basically like just really basically becoming an autist, kind of. I've learned how to become an autist from being around so many libertarians. I don't think I don't think I'm on the spectrum, but like I know how to. I understand people who are essentially because I'm around a lot of them, and so I started basically trying to weaponize how an autist would deal with this situation. In the tweet that was cited for my permanent suspension, I shared a screenshot of an email that I wrote to 3 New Hampshire state government email addresses. The tweet was shared in a non abusive manner, reporting on an occurrence and calling on the state of New Hampshire to enforce state laws. That meets Twitter's first criteria. Now, I will demonstrate that every piece of information in the tweet, in fact, in the entire thread attached to that tweet, was information that is publicly available elsewhere. Obviously, since I wrote the email, I have permission to share it, so that is not private information. In regards to the email addresses the email was sent to, the email address humanrights@hrc.nh.gov is available here, and I link to the website. The email address info@doj.nh.gov is available here in the footer and across the entire website, and I linked that. The email address for Richard Farrell, which was, I think, really the problem one, is available here by clicking on a link, file a complaint by email to Richard Farrell, and I linked them to the address where that email address was publicly available. State email addresses, the ones that end in .gov, are public information and therefore not private. However, I have now demonstrated that these email addresses were also publicly available elsewhere, which Twitter's own policy states are not classified as private information. They are public information, and therefore sharing them was not a violation of the privacy policy. In a, there is no additional information that could be considered private in the body of the email. However, the assertions made in that email can be confirmed on the following public websites. And I essentially linked to every single website in which had relevance to the content that I was banned for on Twitter, just to double down on that. I have now sufficiently demonstrated that I did not violate Twitter's privacy policy. As such, Twitter would be in breach of contract if they did not restore my account. Mistakes happen and can be easily corrected when pointed out. I respectfully request that my account be restored so that we do not need to get lawyers involved. Now, low key, I was already talking to lawyers about this, and I knew what I was going to do if they didn't unban my account. Now, the other thing is you're going to notice that this looks like it came out of my notes app, and it did. Because it got to the point where I was having to go back to Twitter so many times. You really need to, like, if you get banned, make a file of every single thing that you send Twitter, because you might need to reuse some of it later, and it's just helpful to have all the information in one place. So I basically graduated from, I was kind of winging it and not really taking things seriously, to the point I was at here, which was, 3 weeks after my account had gotten banned. I started taking it really seriously, and I was like saving everything and all that stuff, which is why I still have a copy of this. All right, I sent that appeal into Twitter. On February 15th, after I sent in that appeal from Twitter, your account has been suspended and will not be restored because it found to be in violation of the Twitter's terms of service, specifically the rules against reposting a person's private information, blah, 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 blah. So they rejected the appeal again. So what I did then was, okay, first thing I did, actually, hang on. What date is this? Okay, so I immediately filed another appeal. As soon as they rejected that appeal, I immediately filed another appeal. And I'm going to be honest, in that appeal, I basically just copy and pasted this. I didn't actually give them any new information. I copy and pasted this. But then I started to become sneaky about it, because then I started emailing the state employees whose email addresses I posted. And you can see one of those emails here. So I filed the appeal, and then after I filed the appeal, I started emailing the state offices And I basically asked them a couple questions. I said, is your email address public or private information? And do you mind if I share your email address? So the first person I reached out to was Rich Farrell, because he was the one that I thought was probably going to be the most problematic of all email addresses because it was a specific person. And I wrote to him on, you can see on the 15th. Hi, Richard. Quick question. Do you consider your email address to be private information? And do I have your permission to share the email address with parents who might like to file a complaint with you for educator misconduct? And he emailed me back very quickly, like within like half an hour. So I appreciate that, Rich. Thank you. And he said, good morning. My email address is a public email, and I encourage any parent and guardian or interested party to contact me regarding the allegations of the educator code of conduct involved in licensing, blah, blah, blah. So he basically said, he responded to me saying, my email is a public email address, and, you know, you can share it, essentially. So what I did was I filed another appeal. I had already filed the first appeal. Okay, as soon as this appeal got rejected at 9:30 in the morning, I filed the second appeal. I just basically copy and pasted all of this stuff and sent that in again. But as soon as I got this email back from Rich, I filed another appeal. You can see 11:30. And when I filed another appeal, Twitter emailed me back and said, thanks for this report. It looks like this is connected with your original case, and we've added it to the first one. We'll continue to review the information. If you have any more details you think we should know, please respond to this email and send it our way. This is really important, guys, because if you get permanently banned on Twitter, you can file an appeal, but when you file that appeal, you can't upload anything. You can't send them any files or anything. So you have to file the appeal, let that go through, which will be instant, by the way. And then you can go onto the same website, file another appeal. And what Twitter is going to do is they're going to this Reagan says this is a canned reply, but what Twitter is going to do is if you file a second appeal before they have adjudicated the first one, is they're going to send you this email, and this email is going to give you the ability to respond with additional information. And this is really helpful because this means you can send them files. Okay. So what I did was I responded to that email and I said, hello, in addition to the appeal I've already filed, here is explicit written permission from Richard Farrell, the person whose privacy Twitter claims I violated when I tweeted his email address, saying that his email address is public information and I am welcome to share it. Twitter permanently suspended my account for specifically the rules against posting another person's private information, publishing people's private information without consent. Notice in that I'm quoting directly from their own policy. So I'm basically at this point weaponizing Twitter's policy against them. Now, do you guys remember when I said at the very top, hang on, let me show you this. The very first thing that Twitter's privacy policy says, you may not publish or post another person's private information without their express authorization or permission. Well, fine. Then I will get people's express authorization or permission, even if it involves me looking foolish by emailing a state agency saying, can I share your email address? Which did make me look stupid, by the way. One of the state agencies, they did not understand. They were like, this is stupid. I was like, I know it's stupid. Can you please just answer the question? And so I used Twitter's own terms against them and I got express written permission. And so I really wanted to make sure I was pointing this out to Twitter explicitly by saying, like, this is what your rule says. Given that I have now demonstrated that all the information I shared in the tweet was public information and that I now have provided you with written permission from the person whose email address I shared, Twitter can no longer claim I published the information without their consent. Please note that Richard also specifically says that his email address is public information, not private information. I respectfully request that my account be restored given that I did not in any way violate your privacy policy. But I thought that I would just go the next measure. Like, I was pretty sure it was Richard's email address that was causing the most problems, but I thought I would just go the next step, and I emailed the other two emails as well. So this is an email. This is an email that I sent to the info@departmentofelucation.newhampshire.gov. I said, just a quick question. Do you consider this email address to be public or private? And would you have any problem with me sharing this email address publicly in order to help people contact you? And Diane, shout out Diane in the State Department of Education office, emailed me back and said this email address is public and listed on our website and for general inquiries. And so I immediately forwarded that to Twitter and I replied to the same email. So until they adjudicate your appeal, you can keep replying to that email with more information. You don't have to just do it once. You can keep replying. So I replied again and I said, in addition to the written permission I've already provided you from Richard Farrell giving me consent to share his email address, here is written permission from the Department of Education stating their address that I tweeted is public information and I have permission to share it. As you might predict, I also have an email into the Human Rights Commission and will pass along their written confirmation that I have permission to share their public email address when it becomes available. Given that I, A, did not share private information because all of the email addresses were public record, and B, I now have written consent to share the email addresses I did, I respectfully request that Twitter reinstate my account because I clearly did not violate your privacy policy. And then the next day, oh, actually, no, this was a second email from Diane. This Diane was so punchy in this email, which I appreciate. I'm not saying it is a bad thing that I forwarded this as well. So Diane, I emailed Diane back, and because Diane had asked me, she was like, "Why do you want to share our email address? Because I want to make sure that I'm giving you the right one." And I basically said, like, I was permanently suspended on Twitter and I'm just trying to provide them with documentation that this is a public email address. And Diane says, you are welcome. This is a public email address and it can be shared anywhere for government transparency reasons. So I took a screenshot of that and I forwarded that to Twitter too. Just in case there's any doubt that this is a public email address and can be shared anywhere, here's additional information from the New Hampshire state government. This is true of all .gov email addresses, which are the only addresses that I shared in the tweet you suspended me for. I promise you that the Human Rights Commission will say the same thing. Given that I have written consent to share everything, blah, 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 I respectfully request that my account be reinstated. And then the next day, because I actually had to follow up, the Human Rights Commission basically ignored me on the first day. And so I followed up with them and I said, hi, you can see this. I don't know if you guys see this, like at the bottom. Hang on. I said, just checking up on this. I know it's a silly question, but it would be very helpful to me to have your answer in writing for a silly organization that is claiming I violated your privacy by sharing this email address. Do you consider this email to be public or private? And would you have any problem if I shared it? And finally, the Human Rights Commission emailed me back and said, yes, the commission's email address is public information. It is available on my website. And then I forwarded that to Twitter as well. Again, on that same email because they had not yet decided my appeal. And I said, as promised, here is the written consent from the Human Rights Commission to share their email address. I have now provided you with written consent from the owners of every email address that I shared in the tweet that you permanently suspended me for. I have also provided you with evidence that those email addresses were publicly available on other websites, which your terms of service clearly state they cannot result in a privacy violation. In addition, in the written consent, every email address owner has clearly stated that their emails are public information, not private information. Since there is no other information in the tweet you permanently suspended me for that could be confused with private information, and since I have clearly demonstrated that I had consent from 2 New Hampshire state offices and 1 individual state employee, Richard Farrell, to share their email addresses, I respectfully request that my account be restored. Now, one would think that that would be enough. One would think that that would be enough. This was sent on September 16th. Twitter continued to fucking sit on it. They continued to sit on it. And they continued to not make a decision. And so I emailed those fuckers again. And I just I think I emailed in. What did I do? Did I email them back or did I must have. I think I submitted another appeal. I'm pretty sure I did. I submitted another appeal. That's what I did. So I went on their website. I submitted another appeal. And I said in that appeal the following. Here is where we are. You said my account was permanently suspended because I violated your privacy policy, specifically The Twitter rules against posting other people's private information. Your policy states that you may not publish or post another person's private information without their express authorization and permission. I have now provided you with express written authorization and permission from each of the owners of the email accounts that I did have permission to share with them. I provided you with written authorization from Richard Farrell, owner of that email address, that I had permission to share his email address because it is public information. I provided you with written authorization from the State Department of Education that I had permission to share it because it was public information. I provided you with written authorization from the Human Rights Commission that I had authorization to share it because it was public information. If it sounds like I'm being pedantic, it's because I was. Okay? It's because I was. And there was a purpose for that. I wanted there to be no mistake that I had Twitter on two separate fronts. I had them because I had written authorization from everyone. I also had all of those people. Actually, I had them on three fronts. I had written authorization from everyone. I had that each person saying my email address is public information, not private information. And I had told them where you could publicly find these email addresses, which was another loophole in their privacy policy that I could have used to get out of it. And then I also said that I said I will follow up again with copies of written authorization just to make sure nothing got lost, and will attach them to this record. So again, when I filed another appeal through Twitter's website, I knew what Twitter was going to do was to send me an email that looked like this, that basically says, this looks like it's attached to the original case. If you have more information, please send it our way, because they hadn't done a judgment on the appeal yet. So I knew I was going to get a chance to follow up with them with more information, which I did in a second, and I'm going to show you that. But I said I was going to follow up with copies of the written authorization. Essentially, what I wanted is I wanted the written authorization to all come in the same email. So Twitter couldn't say, "Oh, you only had two, you didn't have three." I wanted them to all come in the same email, which is why I did it that way. So there was no fucking worming out of this in any way from Twitter. Additionally, your privacy policy states that it is not a violation if the information is shared elsewhere. And then I basically cut and pasted the same information I had earlier, showing them each and every website that this information was publicly available on. So again, I got them on three different levels. So no reasonable person can conclude that I violated your privacy policy. I did not share the information in an abusive way. I shared an email I wrote to each of the email addresses. We've covered reporting a violation of state law for the state to investigate as they see fit to encourage parents to do so. I did not threaten to expose private information or incentivize anyone to do so. All of the information I shared was available publicly. I did not share private media. I did not dox anyone, as I have express written permission to share the email addresses I did in the tweet that you permanently suspended me for. As no reasonable person can conclude that I violated your privacy policy, given that I have express written authorization and permission to share the information I did from the state of New Hampshire and state New Hampshire employee Richard Farrell, and that every bit of information I shared is also publicly available, I respectfully request that Twitter restore my account. I was being incredibly pedantic. I was really hammering home. I have express written authorization to share these emails, motherfuckers. And then I got this email saying that it looks like it's connected with the original account. Please email us additional information if you have it. And of course I had it. And I followed up and I said, as I stated in my appeal, I am following up again with express written authorization and permission to share these email addresses. And I basically copy and pasted the same information I put in the appeal. And then about, like, I've got express authorization from each person. Each of these communications explicitly says their email address is public, not private information, and those sharing them and therefore sharing them publicly does not violate the privacy policy because no private information was shared, and I have expressed written authorization to share them because they're public information. Since I did not violate your terms of service, I respectfully request that you restore my account. And I even went through and underlined in every single email. I can show you these are all attached. These were attachments. I underlined my email address is public information. Do I have permission to share it? It's public fucking information, Twitter. And I did the same thing with the Department of Education. Would you have any problem if I shared it? The email address is public. It can be shared anywhere for governmental transparency. And would you have any problem if I shared your email? No, it's public information. And da da da! I win. I win. And I woke up yesterday and I had this email in my inbox. I actually found out my account was unsuspended accidentally before I got this email, and I was very happy about that. But I woke up and I had this email. After further review, we have unsuspended your account as it does not appear to be in violation of Twitter's rules. Your account is now unsuspended. We appreciate your patience and apologize for any inconvenience. Yes, 1 month of inconvenience while I'm running for fucking governor, Twitter. But you know what? I still won. I won. That's how I did it. And so, definitely a couple learnings. Am I going to frame it? Maybe. Maybe. I could still sue them for defamation because here's the thing. When Twitter permanently banned my account, they also sent notifications to every asshole that's ever reported me for nonsense. Okay, so people like Mike Harlow have falsely reported my account repeatedly. Mike Harlow, the Queen from England, Deb fucking Philman, all of their little band of Twitter cancel horde, they have falsely reported my account repeatedly. They've reported me for hate speech. They've reported me for harassment. They've reported me for violence. Now, when Twitter banned my account, they also sent notifications to each and every person that I had been guilty of the things that they reported me for. And so that Twitter horde is not, they didn't pay attention to the receipts I had at all. And the Twitter horde thought that they were successful in getting me banned for hate speech and harassment, which wasn't true. And the reason they thought that was because Twitter told, wait, are you shitting me? Are you shitting me? Hang on. I literally just got an email from Twitter saying my account has been locked. Are you shitting me? What did I get locked for? Hang on. Are you shitting me? What the hell? Okay, never mind. My account is now available to use. Haha. They tried to get me banned again. They literally on this stream just tried to get me banned again. But my account is unlocked. Haha. Fuck you guys. You lose. I win. That literally just happened on this stream again. Holy shit. What the fuck was that? Hang on. I don't even know what that was. Well, I'm back. It's still unlocked. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Wow. It says I violated their rules for posting private media of an individual from a country with a recognized right to privacy law. I don't know what that fucking means. Anyway, I did not just get permanently suspended. I did not. Twitter just made me delete a tweet. Everyone calm down. I still have my Twitter account. They didn't win anything. I don't know what that was for though. So, maybe we'll investigate that one later. Whatever. I don't really care. I don't really care. Where was I? Where was I? What was I saying? Yes, the horde is definitely. Kieran, don't think I don't know that you weren't the one who just reported that. God. So this is what it is. So I could sue Twitter for defamation. I'm pretty sure I could. Because Twitter falsely told people that I was guilty of hate speech, that I was guilty of harassment, and I was guilty of violence. I did none of those things. They're still actively trying to get my account banned right now. Actively right now. Trying to get my account banned. Though that's who Mike Harlow is. That's who the Queen from England is. That's who Deb Philman is from The Reason We Learn. That's who they're all in a little cancel horde. Actively reporting my account right now to try to get me banned again. But they fail at everything they do every time, every time, because they're fucking losers that have nothing else in their lives other than obsessing over me. But I did have some other. Would I be able to prove damages? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Mike Harlow has spread all over Twitter that I was guilty of harassment and violence and doxing. So, yeah, I would be able to prove damages. I'm pretty sure. Anyway, let me see. Um, Not that queen. Not that queen. The queen knows who I'm talking about. But anyway, I want to go through some different learnings. Like, Kieran, how sad is it? How sad is it, Kieran, that you literally have nothing else to do with your life right now but sit there going through every single tweet that I've ever sent to try to get me banned? How sad and pathetic are you, Kieran? God. Incognito, dude, I love the energy you have. You rock, girl. Thank you. I appreciate that. So I do want to go through some other learnings. So again, if you get rejected, let's keep trying again. Let's keep trying again and again. Like the queen is still going to try to get me banned. I know that. I really do wonder what I posted. I really do wonder what I had posted. Huh. Hang on. Let me just check something real quick. Let me just look at something real quick. From a country that has a privacy policy. God. Hang on, guys. 1 second. Sorry, I just want to check something. Nope, that's still up. I thought I might have known what he got me banned, what he tried to get me banned for, but no, it wasn't it. Anyway, if you get rejected, keep trying again. You don't run out of chances to appeal. And I don't know exactly how Twitter's like inner workings work, if the same person reviews them every time or if a different person reviews them, but I don't know, you might get lucky. What's the worst that can happen? But really make sure you're being really, really pedantic about how you did not break their rules. And if you need to send them files or backup evidence, what you need to do is file the appeal. And before they decide on it, you file another appeal. And once you file that second appeal, you're going to get that email that gives you the ability to respond to them, to send them additional information. Like I said, I was very specific with Twitter. I wanted them to know exactly which of their terms of service I did not break. I picked out very specific language. I said, here's what your policy says. Here's how I followed your policy. Here's what your policy says. Here's how I followed your policy. Here's what your policy says. Here's how I followed your policy. In the most specific way that I could, because I wanted to be able to sue Twitter for breach of contract if they did not follow their own fucking policy. Okay? And so it took a couple rounds. I had to hit them over the head with the fact that I didn't actually break their terms of service because I tweeted government fucking email addresses and I had permission to do it. But eventually we got there. Eventually we got there. So keep trying. If you get rejected, try again. I also contacted Twitter through the Better Business Bureau. I contacted Twitter several times through the Better Business Bureau, basically saying everything I said here. Now, the Better Business Bureau can't really do anything, but it gives you a different contact at Twitter, and it can sometimes be a way that you can send them files and things if they aren't responding to the appeals. Twitter didn't respond to my appeal for like 2 fucking weeks. So I had to contact them another way. And so actually almost like, wasn't it like 2.5 weeks or something? So basically I used the Better Business Bureau to say, what Twitter? Because when I contacted them through the Better Business Bureau, it was through the time when Twitter was not allowing me to submit another appeal. So I basically used the Better Business Bureau to ping them. And that's when I got Twitter to start responding to me. And I also do know people who have used the Better Business Bureau in order to get out of Twitter bans, in order to get them reversed. And so, it's worth a shot. Why not contact them through there? Next, know their policies and nitpick their policies to death. use their own policies against them. Use the same language they use. Make sure you are repeating the same thing over and over and over again. No reasonable person could think I violated your policy because of reason X, Y, B, and Z. Hold them to their own standard. They're the ones that have set the standard. They're the ones who are unfairly and subjectively applying the standard when it is convenient for them, and that's what they want. So hold them to their own policies. And you can send them files if you submit an appeal on an existing appeal. And so I'm back on Twitter. Mike Harlow and the Queen from England's little Twitter horde are still trying to get me permanently banned as we speak because they have nothing else in their lives. Sad and pathetic. Sad and pathetic. Wouldn't it be a shame? Wouldn't it be a shame if people reported Mike Harlow for being transphobic on Twitter? Now, not that I necessarily think that everyone who says things against trans people are transphobic, but Mike Harlow's kind of being a transphobic little cunt lately. And so I'm just saying it would be a shame if people reported him for that. I'm not saying I'm going to because unlike them, I have a fucking life. And I'm not going to spend all my time trying to get my enemy permanently banned on Twitter because Twitter is the only thing I have going for me in life. And this is actually something that's really important. And I want you guys to hear this. If I had never gotten my personal Twitter account back, it all would have been fine. I wasn't worried about it at all. And what I found out is exactly how little of my success comes from Twitter. Because while I was permanently banned, I raised over $11,000 for my school's exposed program. While I was permanently banned on Twitter, when I didn't have my 71,000 followers on that account, hang on, if you haven't seen it, I raised over $11,000 while I was permanently banned on Twitter because I had my other platforms, I had my core community, and I did not need my Twitter account to be successful at all. And I really want people to hear this. If you get banned on Twitter, it is really not the end of the world, man. It's really not. Twitter is a war zone. It is one of the most useless tools on the planet. And I'm going to be honest, I plan on using Twitter very, very differently. I had a good month of detox from the absolute insanity that stems from that account. I had some detox. I was able to focus on some other things, and I was able to achieve my goals without my Twitter account. And so even if I hadn't gotten out of it, I would still feel pretty good. And I'm going to be much more judicious about how I use Twitter in the future because it is a giant time suck. It is the worst people on the planet. No offense to anyone here. It's just people looking to be angry and outraged all the time. I still had my other Twitter accounts anyway. James Lindsay is doing a ton of good work. You get so much time back when you're not fucking around on Twitter. I've been doing my podcast. I've been writing Substack articles. I've been doing Schools Exposed. We've been investigating stuff. We've been doing so much more. So it wouldn't have been the end of the world. So that's what I did, guys. Does anyone have any questions or anything that I can answer? God, wouldn't have that been something if I had gotten permanently banned again while I was talking to you guys? That's crazy. That's crazy. God. Well, I have actually tried to get the Queen from England to be arrested because he has actually doxed people. The Queen from England has doxed two of my friends. Doxed them just for being friends with me. Put out private information that was no one's fucking business. That he didn't even know, that I didn't even give him. He did background checks in order to dox my friends. And I tried to get the police to do something about it and they refused. I could still push that probably. I could actually. I haven't been pushing it as hard as. I don't care as much about getting the Queen from England arrested for doxing people. It's been locked again. He is literally going through all of my tweets right now and is fucking, yep, that's exactly what he's doing. Kieran White right now is spending his time going through every tweet on my personal account to try to get me banned again, because he is such a good anti-woke ally that he is quite literally doing his level best to get me banned because he's a little bitch. Because he is a little bitch that will never amount to anything in his life. Not us. It got locked again, and I unlocked it again. Because sadly, Queen, your privacy policy does not apply to me because I'm not breaking Twitter's rules. They'll just make me take the tweets down, nothing more. Oh, is he flipping out? Yeah, he is flipping out. Of course he is. See, Kieran, we could have just moved on. We could have just moved on, bitch. We could have just moved on. I was already focusing on other stuff anyway. You're doing nothing per usual except being Dead Philman's little errand boy. We could have just moved on. But no, because you're obsessed with me, Kieran, you are spending all your time trying to get my account banned. How sad and pathetic are you? How sad. And by the way, Kieran, just like, you are unrecognizable, dude. Your physical appearance, you are unrecognizable. How much weight have you fucking gained since we stopped talking? How much weight have you gained? You are unrecognizable to me. Since you got sucked into this toxic horde and sucking my Carlo's dick every day, I hope you're like, dude, you're making yourself sick with all of this. And when you get sick and can't get out of bed, it's going to be your fucking fault, because this is what you focused on, trying to get my personal account banned because you are a sad, pathetic loser who will never amount to anything in life. Such a sad, sad, sad little man. A sad, sad, sad little man. But whatever. Whatever. He can report whatever the fuck he wants. Oh, goodness. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. All right, guys. Well, does anyone have any questions or anything else that I can help with right now? Anyone? Anyone? Their content does suck. Their content, I mean, my God, how sad and pathetic. My God. My God. You know, I was just going to move on from all of this too, because they're all sad, pathetic losers that do nothing with their loser lives. And I actually have important things that I'm trying to focus on that are not them. But look at this. Mike Harlow and Kieran White talked about me every fucking day on Twitter when I was gone. Mike Harlow was like, if only Carlin would stop talking about us, then I wouldn't have to talk about her anymore. And then every single day that I was banned on Twitter, every single day, they continue to defame me and talk about me every fucking day. Every day. But I'm the one who's obsessed. Am I the one going through all their tweets right now trying to get them banned? No. Although, probably couldn't do it with the Queen. He's too anal to ever tweet anything out of sorts. Mike Harlow should really watch his ass, though. Because if I get so inclined... And remember, Mikey, I have other Twitter accounts. If you get one banned, I'll go after you with the other one. Make no mistake, honey. Make no mistake. So that's how I beat Twitter. Apparently, I still have a whole bunch of losers to deal with who have no life at all. But you know what? We'll get through it. It is what it is. It is what it is. But that's really all I have for today, guys. Now, I do have a meeting with a Zoom call with my locals community in a little bit. What is going on with my website? Hang on. Hang on a second. Huh. Hang on. Where the fuck did my website go? What? Why is actively Unwoke not working? Huh. Okay. It looks like my website is down. I don't know why that is. So I'll type it in the chat. Well, I don't know what they're doing. Let me see. Hang on. What is that site that, like, is it down or is it just me? What is that website? Hang on. Let me see if my website is down for everyone or if it's just me. It's not me. My website is down. Huh. Is it just that website? Website I have. Let me just check real quick, guys. All right. I don't know why. Um, but we'll figure that out later. But my other websites are up, so it means essentially like my websites get attacked from China every now and again, and then I have to go through a whole rigmarole with my host to like get them back online. But my other websites are up, so it looks like that's just on actively Unwoke. So we'll figure that out later. But guys, that's basically what happened. Now I do have a support. Well, actually, I can do this instead. Hang on. We'll do this. If you would like to join me for my private Zoom no, my stuff isn't gone, Sin, don't worry about it, it'll be back. No one freak out, websites go down. Websites go down, happens all the time. It's probably just the hosting company fucking around. We'll get it back up. There are backups. There are multiple redundancies and backups for websites, so you don't need to worry about it. We're gonna be fine. We're gonna be fine. But if you do want to support the work I'm doing and get invited to a private Zoom call that I have starting in about 45 minutes at 7 p.m., you can head over to kb.locals.com and you can sign up as a supporter for $5 a month or more, for $50 a year or more if you want to. You can also make a one-time gift. All of those will get you into the private Zoom call that I'm going to be starting in about 45 minutes. And if you don't do that, that's cool, man. Maybe another day. But please consider subscribing to the channel. Please consider mounting that like button on your way out the door. We're going to return to doing school investigations tomorrow, which I'm really excited about. But I'm glad I had the opportunity to explain why I got banned on Twitter and how I got my account back. And of course, the Horde is doing what the Horde does and trying to get my account banned again because they have nothing left in their sad, pathetic lives. But we're going to get through it no matter what. You know, the adult thing to do, if I was the one claiming to be an executive on Twitter, then I would just have acted like an adult and have focused on my own work rather than continuing to try to get someone I don't like permanently banned. That's what I would have done. That's what I did when I was permanently banned on Twitter. But Kieran just doesn't know how to do that. Queen Kieran. So I will be starting the Zoom at 7 p.m. We can talk more about it there if you guys want. But thank you for spending some time with me today. I will be back tomorrow at 5. Take care